think we are
I
good
think
to go.
we're on.
Yeah.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you? Good to see you. Welcome to our coffee
and catch up. Yeah. Coffee and catch up with the Ians. Hope you're well. Hope you've been enjoying these. We've kind of enjoyed it anyway, even though it's just us two talking away. But give us a shout out if you're here. Hope you find some value in these. But welcome to this week's Coffee and Catch Up.
Brilliant. Well, this week we want to talk a little bit about transition and change. So how are you at responding to change? Are you kind of one of these people that just love it? You know, you as soon as there's change and there's a moment, it's like, right, let's go, we're ready for it, you know? Or are you like, no, please, no more change. This is just, it's overwhelming for me, you know, it's too much. And you respond differently, you find it challenging. I don't know what kind of person you are. Let us know, what kind of person are you in terms of responding to change, you know? I think life's always changing. There's always things that are transitioning, but then there's moments where change is thrust upon us, you know, and that's kind of what's happened to us in the last 4 months. You know, we didn't plan it, but change happened and we've had to adjust to it. Our lives changed, really.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I suppose in some sense we have adjusted. Some of us incredibly well, you know, let's be honest. We've navigated the challenges, we've navigated these upheavals, and God has been so faithful and met us so many times in the middle of it.
It's true.
And we've had to overcome moments of panic, moments of just lockdown fatigue, lockdown meltdowns. Our battery's just about to die, so Ben's going to try to work on the technology.
Otherwise we will lose you entirely and it'll just be like a one-way conversation.
So we're navigating the change of batteries and Facebook falling apart on us. But anyway, let's get us connected first. So we definitely are on.
How's that look?
I think we're on. We're
good
with
to go. Oh! Sorry.
It is literally all falling apart here in our house, but we're going to go that.
We are now in this process modelling how you navigate change.
And navigate the unpredictability of life and of Facebook Live.
It's a metaphor for the last 4 months. I'm going to get it right. Sorry, where were we?
I have literally no idea where we are. But anyway, we were talking about change.
Yeah, we were.
We're talking about the fact that we've been navigating the fatigue with lockdown, the meltdowns with lockdown. I heard somebody call it like a Corona roller coaster, and it very much feels like that, doesn't it? But I suppose something that we have been asking personally, and I think as culture and society, as people, we've been asking it, you know, what now? What now for our families? What now for our work? What now for society, for kids, for school? All the pieces kind of got thrown up the air in one fell swoop, and we don't really know how they're going to land and what is the world going to look like now. And for us, learning how to navigate change is something that's really important. So that's kind of what we want to look at today at our Coffee and Catch Up.
That question, just that simple question, but quite important question, what now, is just like, it's a great question to ask. I think it's a question that we need to be asking and that we should be asking, and it's something even as church leaders we're asking, you know, that question, what now, what's it going to look like? And many of you heard the great news that it looks like churches are going to be able to open on a more wider basis, and we're still obviously waiting on what the further guidance is going to be on that and how that's going to look and what that's going to mean for us in terms of Sunday mornings and all that. But trust us, we're kind of working behind the scenes and we're looking at what is that going to look like for us over the next little while, and asking that question, you know, what now? What is the best way forward to connect with one another, and as well to keep safe, and all those things that we need to consider. So remember that, like, the reality is church has never been closed anyway. Like we as God's people scattered in our everyday environments are the church, you know, bringing his kingdom wherever we are. You know, church is not just a building or a service that we go to. In fact, it's not that at all. It's the people of God bringing the kingdom everywhere, every day, isn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah, so as we start to ask that question of what now, you know, we've had this external change thrown part of it on top of us, and so much shift in a moment. And whilst life is probably not going to go back to what it was exactly before, but that's maybe not a bad thing, it's more than that. We have these unknowns. We don't know what's up ahead. We don't know the immediate future. And that makes it that question, what now? It's an important question, but it's also a bit challenging. But this is the key. This is what we have been thinking. Is the truth is, life has always been full of uncertainty and unknowns, and we were probably just living under the illusion that we were in control, that we could maintain some sense of order, and that we were masters of our own destiny. And actually, that really was never the case.
I mean, truth is, like, according to the biblical story anyway, like, since humanity has broke trust with God, it's always been a place of chaos and disorder, and yet in the middle of that, God is in control. And I love what the old hymn writer says. You know, Chris Rice, he says this: "Great is your faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow or turning with you. You know, you change not. Your compassions, they fail not. As you have been, you forever will be." Like, great old hymn, but it basically just says that, like, you know, there is so much change and chaos around us, but God is in control. And God, I just think that's super encouraging as we kind of consider this question, what now? And God, like, has invited us, I think, as his people to be agents of change and peace in this moment of chaos. And so as we consider what that looks like, we don't need to be afraid, because God is in control and he is making things right.
Yeah, so let's go back to the question that we said at the beginning, what now? How do you ask this, especially when there is all unknowns? Well, you see, at the beginning of all this, a lot of us felt ill-prepared, like we were just jumped into this. Nobody knew what was happening or how to adjust to change. And as we continue on in this season, we're kind of in the same place. But I want to say there's a difference. I want to say that there can be a difference, because we can prepare for change. And what I mean by that is that we can set the tone of how we're going to respond to the coming days, even if we don't know the details. Because, you know, God has been doing that the whole way through the Bible. God has always been getting his people to prepare for change, to prepare to receive what he wants to do, to get them ready, to prepare the way ahead. And so it's an age-old thing that we can do too. God is the one that carries what's happening next. And even when we don't know what's ahead, we still have control over what tone we're going to set and how we're going to engage with that.
Yeah, that's really good. Like, I really love that. And so some suggestions that we have for how we're going to look at that, and how you might also ask that question, you know, what now for you as a family, as individuals, and so on. So the first suggestion is make space to reflect on the last few months. You know, sometimes we don't stop and take stock of what God's been doing. A lot has happened for many of us, you know, like we've been on quite a journey. You know, for some of us, we've had to face some of our demons. We've, you know, anxiety's been through the roof at times. There's been moments of, I don't know what to do. And then also God has probably spoken, if you're anything like us, really profoundly to you in this moment. Like, there's things that you've heard and noticed and felt God intervening that maybe in the busyness of life you would have missed before. So if you haven't already written it down, and why not? If you haven't, I'm only kidding. Well, sort of. If you haven't written it down, then take some time just to pray and wait and consider what has God said to me over this last little while. And if you have written it down, go back over it and just read it again. And with prayer, just ask God, you know, what are you inviting me into as we transition into whatever life is going to look like post-lockdown, if you want to use that word. What is it going to look like, and what is important? Yeah,
so the second thing, and this is a hard one for me anyway, is resist the urge to gain back control. You see, a lot of what we spend our energy on, our time and our resources in our culture, is an attempt to try to gain some sort of control of our lives, to be in charge, a grasping to kind of keep the chaos at bay. But, you know, living in the way of Jesus, it kind of gets us to resist the urge to grasp for control over things we can't control anyway, and to surrender it to Jesus, to surrender it to God. So as we ask this question, what now? Ask it from a posture of surrender, recognizing that we can't really control it all, and that's okay. We don't want to, because our hope is in a God who we believe knows what he's doing, even when we don't.
Yeah, that's really good. So thirdly, plan for positive change. So take some time to be intentional about this. You know, there are so many things that we cannot really change easily in the middle of the momentum of a busy life. That can be difficult because there's so much movement. But in a time of disruption, it's actually a unique opportunity to reset some things, to actually to reorganize, to maybe renew some stuff, to realize some things that we've forgotten or didn't value that we needed to value. And so as you start to think about the future and what now, plan for positive change. Think about some of those things that actually you've missed or you've rediscovered during this time. You know, things like rest, things like family time, things like connection with God, things like taking space during the week, trying to resist the drive to always do more and more, or to get more and more, or some of the things that in the momentum of our culture, we've lost sight of. And so take some time to plan for positive change, realize the things that are important, and plan them in to guard them over the next season. So take time to do that together as a family or with a friend, and plan it in.
Yeah. And lastly, take time, there's a lot of time here, take time to celebrate.
Yeah.
So don't rush it, like we said, but take time to celebrate, because like Ben said, so much has happened over this time. And sometimes we just want to feel like, oh, wake up from a bad dream, forget it's all happened. And that's okay, but actually there's something about taking time to celebrate what God has done in this moment.
Yeah.
It's also taking time to grieve what has been lost as well, but taking the time to see what he has done and is going to do to get us ready for the next part. A lot of us have learnt lessons during lockdown that we may not have learnt quite as easily otherwise. Why not put it up in the comments, put up what has been your learning point from lockdown. Even if you're watching us back later, put up a comment, we'll come back and have a wee look at them. But what have you learnt during this season? When you sit back and you want to celebrate, what can you celebrate from your life that God has done during this? What about you?
What have I learned? Yeah, so many things, but I think the biggest thing for me is, I've learned there's some things probably that drive how we do things underneath the surface that we don't notice in the busyness, and God's just been showing me that and saying, okay, I want my presence to drive you, not anything else. Good. And that's been that's probably been my journey over lockdown, thing that I've learned. We're going to be doing some of this as well, together as we have time. We're going to actually look at some of these action points and take some time to ask that question, what now, as a family, as a church, all those different things. And so share with us how that goes. We'd love to hear a little bit about that. And we'd actually planned originally as a family to be going abroad for 2 weeks this next week coming, and obviously we're not going to be able to do that, but we're still going to be taking time as a family to holiday together. I think that's really important. It gives us a chance just to ask some of those questions as well.
Yeah, so instead of our normal coffee and catch-ups for the next couple of weeks, we wanted to share with you some other voices. So we've been recording some conversations with some friends of ours, so you're going to want to tune in over the next couple of weeks to hear them.
Yeah, really good. And don't forget that we've launched our sign up for our summer groups. It's now open, and brand new summer groups to connect with one another over the summer. And there's lots of different groups, but there's this really great one that is happening that's a book club that you're going to want to come to. I'm just doing a shameless plug. Why not, when you've got the screen in front of you? So you're going to want to come to that. It's really, really good. We're reading a book called Search for Significance. Am I allowed to do this? Yeah.
Go for it.
It's a book I read regularly because it's just been so impactful for me. So you're going to want to sign up to that. But there's also lots of other really great groups out there.
Yeah, in the meantime, it's been great having you. Hi, Leanne. Hi, there wasn't other people there. Sorry, I didn't quite see everybody. It's gone a bit crazy. But we're praying for you as you kind of answer those questions that we've been thinking about. Consider life beyond lockdown and this moment we get in. So, love you lots. And we'll see you the other side.
Great to be with you this morning, and ask that question, make some space for it this week, what now? And let God speak to you powerfully in that. Brilliant. All right.
Well, all the
Good
best.
to see you. Have a great rest of the day.
Perfect.
Bye.